thank you for joining us. Let's start with this now. Government has closed 20 land borders in a bid to slow the spread of COVID-19. Border queues are considered super spreader events. Today, eNCA reporters Aviwe Mtila and Silindelo Masikane are at the Lebombo and Beitbridge border posts. We look at the scores of people waiting there and the COVID-19 protocols that are in place. Let's start with you, Aviwe, at the Lebombo border post. That's with Mozambique. How is the situation there? We've heard of some people being deported from there over the last few days, and there was a check-in with the officials from Home Affairs, and that happened yesterday. How is it looking today?
I've just had a look at the numbers of immigrants, illegal immigrants, trying to come into South Africa, and at least 80 of them have been deported back to Mozambique just in the course of today. The officials here are just right here, and from time to time, Bratula, it's hardly 20 minutes, this whole area is filled up. In fact, 2 immigration trucks just left now with some of those illegal immigrants, taking them back to the Lebombo border itself. But I just want to quickly speak to one of the fathers of those that were trying to cross in illegally to South Africa. Ubabu Costume, thank you, Domkulu, for joining up South Africa. Ubushilo ukuthi umntana wakho uzame ungena illegal. Kasitshela ukuthi bekwenzeke ntoni baba?
Oh, laphana bengishayisa ipassport egedini. Se lo mfana wami ngihlala naye vena. Sengibona ukuthi uyahlupheka, sengamthatha ukuthi atozama peace job mara nayo ipassport. Nethi nje akashayisanga stamp lapha ngoba ipassport yakhe sasenywana and namuhla lapha egedini. Ababamukeli bantu bekuvakasha. So sifika la egarage sathola amantombazana I2. Sela amantombazana I2 atsanganceda lo mfana wami ukuthi akhuphuke naye akhona ukuthi siyothola intransport. Sengilo sesisuka nabo lapha sesifika lapha sitholana amaphoyisa ubese asibamba. Mina nginayo ipassport ngicheckisile icorona ngiright. So bengilwela lo mfana wami ukuthi vela nami eyobamba phamba ama-peace job ngala ngisebenzela ngakhona. Senda lo ma-peace job.
La mantombazana I2 anibambileyo nibhatale malini ukuthi umfana wakho angene? Anithatha kuphi la eSouth Africa, ningene njani nomfana la eSouth Africa?
Oh, lo mfana ufohlile ngathi uthi bafohlisana njani nalabantu ngala. Nethi nje ungifonele ukuthi senyalula esocial garage. So la mantombazana ngathola esocial garage ubese ba charge imali yanga 130.
Bakuchacha 130. Lana umfana ubusithi umthatheleni la eMozambique, wena wenzana apha eSouth Africa?
Mina ngiyenda lokhu kwakha akhanyana nje bangicela ukuthi sicela wakhe lana, sometimes ngithola umlungu athi sicela niyakhe lana, vela ngisebenza ngako lokho matsako masemene. Se kungako ngise mina no la ngito bangikhona lokuncana lokhu ngikuthola naye akuthole ngoba unabantwana and naye kumele asize abantwana.
Thank you very much. Costume Mbowane, a father of a son that's just been taken back to be deported back in Mozambique. He tells us of the journey that they just had. He himself entered South Africa legally, but his son went in through the corners. They call it ufohla, meaning that they entered illegally. Doesn't want to specify how so, but they met 2 ladies that were supposed to help them inside. It cost 130 rand just to pass correctly, but they were nabbed by the police here. It's an issue that I've been talking to a number of illegal immigrants, telling me how they also entered illegally through the mountains over there. There's an area where even the soldiers, stand-up soldiers, try to locate them as they come through via those mountains. And throughout the course of the day, at least 80 of them have been taken. 2 vans have just essentially left moments ago, Pratulas, taking in at least some 40 of them. So throughout today, 80 illegal immigrants trying to come into South Africa have been nabbed here at the Lebombo border post.
Yeah, fascinating insights there from someone who has the direct lived experience of crossing the border. That man that you're talking to, Costume Mbowane, saying that his passport is well in order, but his son's passport was not stamped, insisting that the son does have a passport, but it was not stamped, and the son got assistance from some ladies there in that particular neighborhood there, Aviwe. So police there and officials having their hands full at the Lebombo border post. Let's check what's happening at the Beitbridge border post. Silindelo, it's been under the spotlight has Beitbridge over the last few weeks with the logjam that occurred on both sides of the border, really, initially, particularly on the side of Zimbabwe. But it's actually the country's busiest. How is it looking at this moment?
Yes, to us, of course, the Beitbridge border post has been one of the border posts that have been experiencing quite an influx of people trying to come back into South Africa or trying to move into Zimbabwe over the past couple of weeks. But just after the festive season period, as we start to begin to see people going back to work, this border post was a scene of quite chaotic scenes. If I just move out of the picture, you can see right now, we know that, of course, since the announcement by the president on Monday that the borders, the 20 land borders, are basically partially closed for people traveling in and out of South Africa, but they do remain open for the travel of essential goods as well as essential services. And we just arrived a few moments ago, in fact, and what we have seen is that is exactly what is happening. We've got trucks that are moving in and out of the border post. However, you can see that most of the activity that surrounds what happens at borders, because, you know, there are a lot of businesses that operate, small businesses rather, that operate at the border post, and it's almost like a ghost town. People, vendors rather, are just sitting around, you know, hoping to get some sort of business. And in fact, while Brajo and I were setting up earlier on, one of the people from a distance shouted at me saying, you know, people aren't going to die of COVID anymore. They're just simply going to die of hunger. And that is what we're seeing here at the Beitbridge border post. It's very quiet, very much a shadow of itself of what we saw when Siphamandla Goke was here a couple of weeks ago, where you could see a long queue of cars and people sitting around waiting to be able to cross to this particular border post. And what we do know is that the Home Affairs Committee was actually here just yesterday to conduct an oversight visit and to see what it looks like right now. And what they're saying is that it does seem as though what happened over the Christmas period and what we saw a couple of weeks ago was that there was simply just poor planning on the side of Home Affairs in terms of ensuring that there are enough officials here at the post to ensure that the traffic moves and that people's COVID tests are checked speedily. And what happened there was really very much close to a humanitarian crisis. And what was also revealed from that portfolio committee oversight was that it does seem as though the COVID tests at the borders here in South Africa are much cheaper than on the other side in Zimbabwe. It costs around 900 Rand in Zimbabwe, but it costs around 150 Rand here in South Africa, and that might have also actually led to the influx of people that we saw at the borders. But for now, tell us, it does seem as though the restrictions that have been put in place here at the Beitbridge border are in place. We don't exactly know what's happening on the other side. However, we do know that now that the border is closed to people coming in and out of South Africa, this will probably lead to more illegal cross-border situations that might occur here at Beitbridge.
All right, thank you for that. That's eNCA's Silindelo Masikane and Aviwe Mtila. Aviwe at the Lebombo border post with Mozambique, and Silindelo at the Beitbridge border post. We are at border posts, but part of the story, a great chunk of the story, actually happens away from the formal border posts, right? With Beitbridge, it's on the Limpopo River, the activity that happens around there. And as you just heard there from Aviwe at Lebombo border post, you may be watching the border post, but the real story is also playing out along the Lebombo Mountains in areas there close to Mbuzini in Mpumalanga on the border with Mozambique. And yes, I did see the statement from the Home Affairs Committee yesterday talking about implementing one-stop border posts with neighboring countries. My goodness, where have you been, South Africa? This is something that should have happened years ago. It really does help in coordinating with authorities from neighboring countries and facilitating the movement of people, the legal movement of people. So let's see if that materializes in the coming months and years. Let's see.